Living Meditation, a journey beyond body and mind.
Initiation is not an insurance policy. One does not become a satsangi simply by being initiated. Maharaj Jagat Singh Ji. Santmat is not an insurance policy by which we are guaranteed salvation just by attending initiation. Although initiation is no small matter, although it marks the culmination of a journey of thousands of lifetimes, it is not the end of the journey. Shabad Master Baba Gurinder Singh Ji, or Baba Ji as he is known, tells us that the event of our initiation may be taken as the projection of our desire to grow spiritually. Unless we take action, we will not become satsangis. A satsangi is one who is in contact with truth. You are either there or you are not there. There is no halfway ground in experiencing truth. As Master Jagat Singh, or Sardar Bahadur as he was also known, points out, we do not become satsangis by the mere act of having attended initiation. A graduate student enrolling in a doctoral program does not become a PhD just by joining the university. A student has to attend classes for many years before he or she graduates. Until we have merged into Shabad, we are all seekers in search of our home. The way to go home is through meditation. If we are not doing our meditation, then we are not on our way to becoming satsangis. Nor are we following the teachings of the Master, no matter how often we have the sight or company of his physical form, listen to satsangs, do seva or read spiritual books. Without meditation, it is impossible to attain liberation. A master comes to initiate us, to put us in contact with our inner master, the Shabad. Once we have been initiated, we have to follow the instructions our living master has given us. By putting more emphasis on the person of the master than on his teachings, we make a serious mistake that is detrimental to our spiritual welfare. The master's finger is pointing to the eye center, but we are busy worshipping his finger, not looking at where his finger is pointing. If we believe that master will wave a magic wand and automatically give us liberation after death, we are wrong. If we believe that just by attending initiation or by having his physical darshan, without doing our meditation, he will give us liberation after death, we are also sadly mistaken. Shabad Master Charan Singh used to say that nothing justifies us saying that we cannot do meditation. The Master fulfills his task by immersing us in an ocean of grace. Now we have to do our part and take responsibility through action for the welfare of our soul. Karl's deadliest weapon, indulging in thinking. In the introduction to Die to Live, it is said, mind is the deadliest of foes, but the most useful of servants. When it turns wild and gets out of control, it heads for certain destruction. When properly awakened and controlled, there is no limit to what the mind can do. Once we have been initiated, we need to practice the process of controlling our mind so that it becomes the servant and ally of our soul, not our master. As we all have experienced, there is no end to our desires, and we know how easy it is to be dominated by them. At the root of this problem lies the habit of giving free rein to our mind so that it goes wherever the senses lead it. If we learn to control our mind, we automatically gain control over our senses. In Die to Live, Master Charan Singh Ji says, intellect is a great barrier in our way, but we have to pierce the barrier of intellect with the help of intellect. Used constructively, the intellect is a great friend on the spiritual journey. Supported by a spiritual focus and the habit of clear thinking, the mind discriminates for our spiritual advantage, looking at our spiritual growth and spiritual well-being. Compulsive thinking, on the other hand, fuels desires, makes the ego stronger, and contradicts all efforts to put our soul in charge. Compulsive, out-of-control thinking gets us into trouble and leads to pain. It is a question of who is in control, allowed to go in its own way, not referring to its power of discrimination. The mind quickly becomes our downfall. Compulsive thinking is the process of abandoning oneself to the inner chatter of the mind. It is the tendency to live in a world of concepts and illusions, of fear of what the future may bring, of obsessing with planning, of remembering and ruminating on what is past. The process itself builds habits of worrying, judging, analyzing, building expectations, and daydreaming. Compulsive thinking feeds the passion. It reinforces the ego. Constant mental repetition of the obsessions of the day makes deep grooves in the mind. These grooves become so deep that even if we act on them, we may not be able to, even in one lifetime, to wipe clean the slate of karmas. Then we have to reincarnate again in response to what remains on the slate. In an excerpt from Introduction to Die to Live, relentlessly and restlessly, the mind tries to experience and enjoy everything, but nothing seems to satisfy its ravenous hunger. The acquisition of wealth and power gives rise to endless desires. Our possessions become the master instead of being our slave. The passions gradually forge heavy chains around us, bind us to the baser things of the world, and invariably harden our heart. We generate thousands of thoughts every day. From the spiritual perspective, this means that thousands of times a day our mind bypasses the eye center as we run from one thought to the next without rest or pause. No wonder we feel restless and anxious. How could it be otherwise, with all that activity going on within our head? When we indulge in wanton thinking, we waste many opportunities to center ourselves through spiritual repetition, that is Simran. We miss the benefit that is available to us, the well-being that comes from repeating the words the Master gave us at the time of initiation, through which we create that much-needed focus at the eye center. If, rather than containing the mind's activity, we continuously indulge its whims and allow it to do so as it pleases, then it continues to jump around wildly, wanting to go its own way, and it does this even more at the one time we really need it to become still, when we try to pin it down during the meditation period. Masters therefore encourage less indulging in thinking and more focused repetition. Indulging the mind has an adverse effect on the disciple, scattering the attention and preventing us from going within. Since karma originates from action and action originates from thought, by constantly thinking about small, insignificant, passing desires, we fan these desires into forest fires. First, there is a thought or an idea. In the beginning, it may seem just an innocent thought wave, one that can be easily brushed aside by a wave of Simran or a counter thought. However, if the mind starts to dwell on thought, it becomes a desire. Once the desire gains momentum, it takes hold of us and we begin to consider how we can possess the desired object. A great thirst and appetite may soon develop for it, and we become restless until we satisfy our desire. Once action has taken place, we have created karma. Craving or mental indulgence is thus the womb of all the invisible chains and fetters that bind us to this world. If, on the other hand, we choose Simran to focus our mind and brush away these extraneous thoughts when they are just beginning, we preempt the battle. We cut at the root of our desires, dilute the downward tendencies of the mind, and win a victory for our soul. One by one, each of these little victories adds up, and gradually the positive energy they generate helps us establish our attention at the eye center, from where the currents of spiritual energy power our soul. The habit of compulsive thinking is a form of mental diarrhea that weakens us, a sickness that prevents us from fulfilling our spiritual potential. It is a pathological state of human nature, a misdirected use by the mind of the power or energy of the soul. Not only does compulsive thinking weaken the spirit and strengthen the ego, it inexorably reinforces the mistaken notions that the world is permanent and that other people and events are responsible for our problems. Maharaj Sawan Singh Ji says, while the mind derives its life force and energy from the soul, it at the same time does everything possible to suffocate the soul. The way to treat this sickness is to concentrate and focus our attention at the eye center through Simran. Simran reduces and quietens the stressful static created by outflowing thought waves. Simran restores the mind to clarity, strength, and wellness. Simran frees us from our obsessions so that we can be empty of our petty self and become receptive to the healing powers of the Shabad within.